Is that loud enough? Top of the evening, top of the morning. Thought I'd try something different today. I'm running, instead of doing impulse responses, I actually have a cabinet mic'd up with a G12M70. I wanted something a bit more realistic today. Oh, how are we doing on this fine Sunday evening? Is it a holiday in the States today? Is it a long weekend in America? I know Canada, it was a long weekend last weekend. It would be something that they call the May 2-4, but yeah, is it? I have no idea. Anyhow, so this past weekend, I didn't release a how-to video this time. Instead, I did covers. I'm working on a few videos, and when I get stuck and there's nothing I can do, I do a cover instead. Which is great for me because I love doing covers. And I think I said on the last live stream I really missed doing covers because I hadn't done one in a while. But yeah, I've got a few things in the works right now. So that was still a great excuse to be able to do a cover. What'd you all think of Hello Kitty Cat? If you didn't see, I released 2 versions of it. On Friday morning, I released an instrumental cover, like the way I would usually do it. But then I released another version of it with Billy's vocals reinserted in because for a long time I've wanted to re-record Hello Kitty Cat as a version of the song without the board clipping, right? And it's something I've always wanted to hear because if you listen on like in-ear earbuds, Hello Kitty Cat can get a little bit chaotic. It kind of starts blowing out the headphones a bit. And I love the original mix. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not like there's anything wrong with it. It's, well, there was something wrong with it. It's why I wasn't on Siamese Dream, or a big part of why it wasn't. But I've always wanted to have, both copies of it. It's fun having both copies of it. The solo is the one thing that truly is not the same, though. I didn't know how to approach the solo. I learned how to play a bit of it literally 3 minutes before I started recording, and then I only took a few takes of it. But I think that part was okay. And really, it's, I think sometimes I wonder if that solo was just something that, Billy did to hold place on the song or if it was the final version. It's hard to tell without it being mixed in, but yeah. Zen Underground said, who was on drums? That was Memory Driven. He's been playing drums on the last few covers I've done. He's an American dude. He has his own channel, which is at Memory Driven. He shows up in the stream sometimes too. But yeah, he plays drums a lot on a lot of the covers. There's a couple other he sent me too. Like right now in the pipe for covers, he sent me Bodies. So I have Bodies waiting in line. Now I'm not releasing Bodies without vocals though. A friend of mine that I used to play in a band with, that we'll just say is very Billy-esque in terms of how he sings. He's he's going to be doing vocals for it, so it's going to be a bit before that gets released. But yeah, that'll be fun. But yeah, no, Memory Driven's a good drummer. He's and he loves doing covers. It's kind of his thing. He has lots of different bands he covers on his channel. We just do the pumpkin stuff together. Yeah. So how does it sound using the microphone instead of using the impulse responses today? Is that working okay? Like it's the brass capsule clone of the C414 on a G12M70. It's in a 212 cabinet for now. So I was on a road trip to Nagoya the same weekend that the Zero live stream was on. And while I was down there, I found an Elk. Elk's a Japanese amp company from like the 60s and 70s. But yeah, I found this thing for about, it was a 1,100 yen, which is about, I think, $7 US for a 212 cabinet. And it had two really nice Alnicos in it, but I took them out for now, and I put G12M70s in it, and it sounds a lot better than being in the combo. Like, all the low end is restored. It'll be best when I get a full quad in the 412, but I think it's, yeah, pretty spot on. Here, I'll play it again. I think it's yeah, I think it's a great sounding cabinet. I am looking forward to having the full 412 running though, and I don't think I'm gonna have it done before I go to Thailand. So I leave for Thailand on June 4th. I am out of here, and I'll be away for a bit. Now, like I said before, I'll be making videos from Thailand. I'm going to have a little bit different gear in Thailand, clearly. So this guitar is going to come with me. I made my final decision. Red's going to come back to Thailand again. And then I'm going to have... Okay, so one of the videos that I'm working on, I'm waiting for a pedal to show up. So one of the comments I got on the JMP1 video was people are wondering how to get that JMP1 sound in a pedal. And I think some of you are aware of Colombo Audio's The One, which is a stomp box version of a JMP1. I'll have one of those in my hands in a few days. It's landed in Japan, so I'm just waiting for it to clear customs, and it'll show. It could show up today, it might be tomorrow. It said it's supposed to be here on the 29th, but I think it's going to be here today or tomorrow. Japan's really fast for shipping because all the estimates you get account for no one working weekends. But in Japan, all shipping continues through the weekend, at least with the major carriers. So yeah, so I'm going to bring, as long as it does the JMP1 thing as well as I think it's going to do, that will come with me to Thailand. I'm bringing this to Thailand. Now, I was going to bring this to Thailand. This is a Yamaha Rex 50. Now, if you don't know what this is, it's a desktop version of a Yamaha SPX 90. Now, an SPX 90 is something that Billy used back in the day. It's also something that My Bloody Valentine used a lot. It's a big part of the My Bloody Valentine sound. I was gonna bring this to Thailand, but then I was talking to John Pick about this thing, and turns out he wants this one, and he has a few SPX 90s, one that needs to be recapped. So we're gonna do a trade. So I need to put a potentiometer in the back of this, and then I'm testing it out, making sure it's okay, and I'm shipping this to John Pick, and John Pick is sending me an SPX 90 to Thailand. So I will have an SPX 90 in Thailand. So we will play with that. And then obviously, like in Thailand, I have everything for making Jet 70s and Mr. Zipper. So I'll have Jet 70, obviously. But the gear list will be a little bit smaller while we're there. Concrete Badger asked if the SPX 90 is the same rack thing that Slowdive used on the soft focus reverb frame. I'm not 100% sure, but most likely. It does that. It's where that reverse reverb comes from that My Bloody Valentine used. Where are we? See you, babe. Have a good day at work. My wife's going to work. All right, what was I? Grunge Guitar Guy. Siamese clean tone settings on Marshall Origin 20 head suggestions. Oh, it's easy. Just set it the same as an 800. Just back the bass off. They seem to have a bit more low end. Like I have an Origin 20, right? And I set it the same as the JCM 800. So I turn the treble to 0 or 1, mids on 910, bass on 910, like in that range, and then presence on 9. And then the tilt knob, you just balance it back and forth until it sounds right with your speaker combination, and then you're good to go. And then the preamp will be a bit lower than on a JCM 800. I think I usually have it around 4 or 3. I don't remember because it's in Canada. But it was right around there. And then obviously leave the push-pull boost off, right? Leave it in. And it sounds very much like a clean JCM 800 when you set it that way. Extremely clean. And then because the Origin has a better master volume than a JCM 800, you don't have to have the volume on 10, right? You can have the volume at a more reasonable level and get a very, very good Siamese Dream type sound. Like I think I'd love to hear it plugged into a G12M70, because I think through a G12M70, I think it'd almost be indistinguishable. The mid-range is a little bit different. I've never looked at the schematic, but I think the mid-pot value might be slightly different, or somewhere in the circuit that defines the mids might be slightly different. I have a video where I compared them on the channel. It was years ago. I think the video is probably 6 years old at this point. But I do compare it against the JCM 800. It's a no talking kind of top down video. I have a playlist of no talking top down videos, which is only 2 videos, but it's definitely in there if you've never heard it. Concrete Badger, sorry, my bad. That was another one. A quick Google says it was the Yamaha FX500. So it's probably in the same vein of equipment, right? Like that's my guess, but I don't know. Like there's also like the SPX 990 and a bunch of other gear with different names that are just different generations, right? But yeah, there's loads of options for that sound now. But I want the original, and I want it because both Kevin Shields used it and Billy used it, right? I was talking to John Pick last night about gear, and I asked him, what are 5 top pieces of gear for the My Bloody Valentine sound, if he had to pick, and leaving guitars out of it. And one of the funny things about it is when you look at the list of gear, right? First two of the first items are JCM 800, like we're talking Loveless specifically, but JCM 800, SPX 90. I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, Billy, you were tone chasing My Bloody Valentine, which is understandable. Like their sound is phenomenal, right? Like he said he tone chased them back in the day, which, you know, everyone has that artist that they tone chase when they're first starting, right? We all have a sound that we want. And clearly, Billy wanted that and Sabbath. Can say the man's got taste. Where else are we? Subjective Robot. Have you tried Neural Amp Modeler? Can you create a profile of your rig for on the road? I have not tried Neural Amp Modeler. I really should. I've been using the same kind of software amps for a while, and they're really long in the tooth. Amplitude 5 is getting old, and it just doesn't really do as well anymore. So specifically when I'm in Thailand, I use a lot of plugins. Like I use physical pedals. Like I'm bringing my vintage component big muff with me, and that'll be my big muff in Thailand. Like I have a Ren & Cuff IC78 there as well, but I want my vintage parts one with me. It has a different feel. Like I think on a record they'll basically sound the same, but it has a sag because of the way the power supply is done that is unmistakable. So I want it with me. But I use a lot of software amps when I'm in Thailand. So I'll try different software situations. If I get time before I go, maybe I'll try modeling what I have here. But at the end of the day, the JCM800 is a really common rig, right? It's an old amp, and there's loads of models of it out there at this point. So I'm not too worried about finding something that's similar in software that's more advanced compared to Amplitube. I think maybe the first I might try, though, is Amplitube has a low input, right? Which a lot of the models don't have. They all concentrate on the high input of a JCM800. So I think the first thing I might actually try is running the JCM800 in Amplitube, but into, I can't remember the name of the company, but I just got it. There is a G12M70 impulse response with a bunch of mic options, including C414. So I think I might try that first before I go looking for another 800 model or model anything else. But eventually I will, like especially when I'm back here in Japan next time around, I will definitely be modeling things a bit more. I'm planning on making sure I have the 412 full of G12M70s when I get back, because I really want to create an impulse response of an actual vintage Marshall 412 with G12M70s and the proper microphones and whatnot. Because I think it's the model of the G12M70 that I got my hands on is a 212 model, right? And that's exactly what you're hearing here today, is I'm playing through a 212. And a 212 sounds a bit different than a 412, right? They have a bit more mid-range presence. They have a great big low end, which is great, but it's not the same as the 412 low end. So that's yeah. I'll see what happens when I'm in Thailand, but it'll definitely be different in Thailand, right? I'm excited to go to Thailand. I'll miss the gear, but I'm always excited to go to Thailand. Thailand is a great country to hang out in. It's yeah. I'm fortunate that I have a house sitting there, right? It's and don't take that as a big thing. Houses to rent in Thailand are cheap, and my wife is Thai. Right. Houses here and in Thailand are both quite cheap. It's, I think, probably half to rent one in each country total. Half, if I combine the rents of these two places total, it's probably less than what a lot of folks here are paying for rent or mortgages in America. It's, yeah. One of the realizations you come to when you're traveling is housing is a very different thing in different places. But, yeah. Where else are we? Zen Underground. Yes, my hands are pretty full, but have I ever tried to clone a Mutron biphase? Not yet. I will look at it at some point, but they're also pretty protective of their circuits, and it's a complex circuit too, right? There's lots of schematics out there, and it's something I'll definitely look at doing, but I'd almost be more interested in doing like one side of it or playing with a part of the circuit. But yeah, I'll definitely mess with the circuit eventually. 100%. Diego Oliveira, what's your favorite song on Melancholy? Oh God. I don't know. One other thing about favorites is I know that with myself, on a different day, it's a different song. So to give you a few of my favorites, Here Is No Why. I've always loved Here Is No Why. Through the Eyes of Ruby. Bodies, definitely like Bodies. I really like Love. Love's a great song. I'm thinking about grabbing a Boss flanger before I leave Japan because they are ridiculously cheap here. And I might bring one of those to Thailand just to do a video with the Boss flanger and go after the Love tone. What else? Where Boys Fear to Tread. I love Where Boys Fear to Tread a lot. That's a great song. Jelly Belly. Like, I could sit here and just listen them off. Muzzle. When I was a teenager, I went through a deep love with Muzzle, like back when Melancholy came out. After seeing them play it on Conan O'Brien, in particular, I really got into Muzzle. Like, I remember that episode of Conan O'Brien. I knew the Pumpkins were going to be on it. I remember waiting to watch that episode. Like that was, yeah. Yeah. Some of the comments I get, I think some folks here don't realize that, like, I was a teenager in the 90s. Like, I was, it was my teenage music. Why do some of you keep for not noticing that? Come on, I'm old, I'm bald, I'm gray in the beard. That's why it's so short all the time. You should see how gray it gets here these days. But memory driven. Are the electrical outlets in the wall the same as Japan? No and yes. So in old houses like this, they're two-prong, right? So when the rest of the world was adding ground to their houses, Japan did something different. If you go into your washroom and you live in America, there's a little button on the outlet, and it's like a breaker that trips in case like someone gets shocked. So when it detects a short, it pops, right? Japan did that for the entire house. So in my breaker box, I have a giant trip that is one of those. So Japan did that instead of ground. Now, this is really problematic in old Japanese houses. Like my office, the reason this is my office is because this and the room where the washing machine is, they're the only two rooms in the house with ground. Nowhere else in this house has ground. And they were put in after the house was built, right? They were an afterthought. And the only reason this room has ground is because this is the one room that has heat and air conditioning. So sometimes in some of the videos, you might see a big white box above my head when I'm in the talking position. Like, because usually when I'm talking in this room, I'll be sitting on the couch looking out that window, right? Because there's a window on the other side of the sliding door, right? And if you look up at the top left, you'll see that there's a white box. That's the air conditioner / heating, right? Because Japanese houses are very strange. This is the only room in the entire house with built-in heat and built-in air conditioning, right? In Japan in the winter, it's cold, and the houses are just like these thin little things. And you wake up in the morning, and if you don't have heat of any kind running in any way, some mornings it can be -10 in your house, right? So in the winter, I run this one heater all the time. It never stops, right? I keep the music room temperature controlled. But either way, so it's the one room that has ground because the large ones need higher voltage. So it's, I can't remember the term, I'm not an electrician, but it's set for 200 volts instead of 100 volts. And Japan is 100 volts instead of 115, 120, right? So that runs at 200 volts and has ground. So as a result, the outlet beneath it has a ground plug, but it's not like a 3-prong like you'd see anywhere else in the world. It's still a 2-prong, but then it has one of those little forked grounds where you screw the thing down onto the fork. And that's how ground in this room works. So I have a special power bar that goes onto that and then gives me 3-prong that I use for my amp and some other things. Like my Marshall that I have here is a Japanese model JCM 900 that I converted to a JCM 800, right? And what that actually means is it's still a 120 amp because all the JCM 800s and JCM 900s, they got lazy and used 120 volt transformers, right? Previously, they actually made 100 volts, but for those two generations, they used 120 volt transformers. But they take out the ground, they put only a 2-prong ground in it, and then they insert a death cap. Now, if you know anything about amps, you know what a death cap is. It's from those old 60s amps. The one that, when you get an old amp, you take it out and you put ground into your amp so you don't get a bad shock, right? So they do the opposite in Japan. In the 80s and 90s, they put in death caps. So in order to make it work for making YouTube videos, I had to make it so it wouldn't buzz, right? So I actually took out the death cap, I reinserted a 3-prong ground, and then I run that weird power bar over to a step-up converter that goes from 100 to 120, and that's how I power my JCM 800, 900. If I were to run it any other way, it would get a little bit of the brown sound from Van Halen, right? Because he lowered the voltages to get his sound. But tangent over. What else we got here? Have you ever tried the Stone Deaf PDF-1X? That's one of those British fuzz pedals? I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or is it, tell me what it is. I've heard of it, but I can't remember what it is. I really cannot remember what it is. So RKS Legend, tell me what the Stone Deaf PDX or PDF-1X is. Zen Underground says, Muzzle is a quintessential song about teenage angst. Yeah, my teenage self loved it. 100%. It's such a great song. RKS Legend. Yeah, it's a British company. Okay, I thought so. Yeah, because they do like some great Big Muff clones, right? Is that a Big Muff or is it something else? I know there's No, I don't know. I think it's a Big Muff. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like I think those guys are well known for their fuzz pedals. Let's play guitar for a minute, if you don't mind. You know, I know Big Muff into Tape Delay isn't really a Big Pumpkins lead sound or anything, but it's such a good combination. Absolutely love it. Time to skate or die. You know, I tried skateboarding once. A friend of mine opened an indoor skate ramp in Vancouver, and they tried teaching me how to skate. And you want to see something funny? Watch me try and skate. Good lord. Anyhow, hey Eddie, curious if anyone here has ever tried an Earthquaker Devices Bit Commander as a compact or cheaper stand-in for the microsynth. Okay, 100% I've tried it. Hold on. Let's do it. Let me not get tangled in my chair, though. Which way did I go? You know what? You can just sit on the ground for a second. So I've got an Earthquaker Bit Commander here. Let's shoot it out. Into my pedal closet. So you mean one of these? Give me a moment. I'm going to put it on my board beside the microsynth, and we will compare them. All right. I was reworking my board this weekend. I need to get a new power supply. The one that's on here is a little bit noisy, so I've got the gain down a bit. I think you guys can still hear me. Okay. Now we're going to have to dial it in a little bit because clearly I haven't been using it in a while. But it can kind of do the sound. It's definitely a little bit different. All right, so you're going to have both me and the microphone running for a second. This won't be ideal, but it'll be fine. Okay, so the core microsynth sound on its own. it sounds like this. Right, so that's the core microsynth sound for playing pumpkin stuff, right? Then we put the like a Jet 70 or the MSA fuzz into it. Right, so now let's see if we can get a similar sound with the Bit Commander. So one thing you don't have control over on the Bit Commander is the resonance, right? The resonance, well here, I'll just show you what the resonance sounds like on the microsynth quickly. It's not a huge difference, but it's something that you need to adjust for leads. But it's not a huge deal. So let's try the Jet 70 into the Bit Commander. It's different. It's in the same vein, but it's categorically different. But I almost think that you could get closer using the Bit Commander without using the Jet 70. So like, let's see if... It almost sounds closer without having anything pushing it. Let me... It gets into the range, right? It's not going to be exact, but it kind of gets you into that kind of realm of that sound. Let's add some tape slap back really quickly and see if we can make it sound more cherub rock. Problem is when you start pushing it, you start hearing like this, like boop, 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 boop. There's a jump that's happening. It doesn't sound quite right. So I think if you're going to use the Bit Commander, I think on its own is probably the best. I think there's not really much replacement for the microsynth, to be brutally honest, but like in a pinch I think it would work. Like if I was playing live and I wanted a small board, I might throw it down there. Just don't expect it to be absolutely exact, right? It's a cool pedal, like I have it, and I used to actually recommend it as something to be in that realm. Now the reason I haven't recommended it recently is there was quite a while you could find these for dirt cheap. But I went to look at the prices on them recently, and now they're expensive. Like, at that point, you might as well buy a microsynth. Like, I didn't quite understand what was happening there. But, I hope that answers your question. Yes. Where are we? All right, let me get caught up here, folks. Red Boy B, is the French guy who bought the original JMP1 of Billy shared the presets with you? Have you tried them? The presets that are in that video are pretty much it. I've tweaked them just a hair if you don't have a strategy. Strategy adds a lot of low ends, just put it that way. So dial the bass back is what I'm saying. But yeah. That's exactly what we both used for that video. Bradford 117. I discovered your channel 2-3 weeks ago. I love your deep dive on the Siamese dream tones. Thank you very much. Appreciated. It started as a hobby and it's kind of turned into its own thing. I love making videos. I've said it before in the live streams. Like, making videos is the primary driver that started me doing this channel in the first place. It was a replacement for my car channel during the pandemic, but I'm just glad people like them, right? It's a different game when you're trying to make a video every week. Like, that's one thing I've learned. Like, when you make them purely for fun, as I did up until the last 6 months, basically, it's a different thing because you just get the urge and you make a video for fun. But when you make them regularly on a weekly basis, a couple things happen. In some ways the quality goes up, right? You kind of get into this rhythm of making videos and you end up being able to do things or get ideas that you wouldn't have had necessarily before. Like, I think in terms of all my videos, the two things that I love the most, the two things I made that I am the happiest with, absolutely most happy with, are the intros to 2 videos. Actually, no, let's make it 3 videos. The intros to 3 videos. One is the intro to the Microsynth video. I love that intro, and it's just shining colorful lights on Sakura during Sakura season here in Japan. The intro to the Big Muff 2 video, that one, I really like that, because I like the intro song to that one a lot. It's probably my favorite intro song. It's the least Pumpkins, but it's my favorite intro song. And the temple aesthetic in that one's particularly good. And I like that my wife made the bell go at the very start, and I was able to use that to start the song. That was cool. And then the recent one about the G12M70s, that one was good. I really like that intro. And I wouldn't have thought about those things if I hadn't been making videos on a weekly basis, right? It kind of helped up the game for me. It's been kind of cool. But it's definitely been an education making them weekly. It's a lot harder than I think I would have expected. You can never know how difficult something's going to be until you do it. And making videos weekly, it's a bit of a challenge. Like, I like it, and I'm always up for a challenge. I'm bored if I don't have a challenge, so. But yeah. Anyhow, what's next? Subjective Robot. What other bands would you tone chase? There's a few, but the next one that you folks will be seeing something on is give us time. Give us some time, please. But I've been talking to John Pick about doing something together for My Bloody Valentine, because I think between the two of us we could probably do something pretty cool. So we've got a couple ideas. We're working on it. We'll get there. Just give us time. We haven't even started filming anything yet. We're just talking about how we want to do it. So as long as that happens, I think everyone will enjoy that one. Because I think a lot of us that like the Pumpkins like My Bloody Valentine as well. Other bands, though, I really want to tone chase the Mars Volta. I really want to go after some stuff from the Mars Volta. I'd love to reproduce some of the stuff they've done. Yeah, like, I've talked about them a little bit, but Mars Volta are another really, really big band for me. That's one that I absolutely love. I think Deloused in the Comatorium is an absolute masterpiece. And then they're a band that are so consistent, right? The albums they put out after that are brilliant, right? They're astonishingly good. Astonishingly good. Really great band. But yeah, and then I'll probably do some Queens stuff. I like the Queens of the Stone Age. It'd be fun to do. It's one of those ones where we have Eric, though, right? Like, Eric has tone chased them very, very well, and in a very intelligent way too, right? Like, I loved the fact that he was not buying the PV Decade thing. And he did it the right way. He tested, right? He actually tested, right? And that's the thing about tone chasing. So many people will quote something as being accurate without testing. And testing is pretty important, right? That PV Decade thing got so blown out of proportion. Unreal. Unreal. And it was only ever used for bass tracking. It was never used on guitar at all. But yeah, I'd like to go after some Queens of the Stone Age stuff too, just for the sake of doing it. Going after sounds, it's like I talked about in the What to Do with Tone Chasing video. Going after sounds, it's a way to, build your repertoire of your sounds, what you're going to use for your own music. Because, it's some people don't understand tone chasing and that they say that, oh, why just get your own sound? I find that to be a hilarious comment because it's pretty arrogant to assume that you on your own as a budding guitarist can figure out something that no one else has figured out before. And maybe you can. Don't get me wrong. Maybe you'll figure out something new. But we learn from the past. History is important. And tone chasing sounds from the past, it's like tonal archaeology, right? You're learning about things from the past, and you're taking that and you're turning it into something that is your own, right? I think it's, yeah. Tone chasing is an important thing as a guitarist in your path as a guitar player, right? It's you pick up some of how you play, you pick up different tones, and you apply it to your own thing. Now, one thing I would really hope is that when you do these things, you apply it to your own music. One thing that I think is important to avoid is trying to be the band that you're tone chasing, right? Like, I never want to be the Smashing Pumpkins. Like, I don't want to be Billy Corgan. I have no desire to be Billy, right? Like, I have utmost respect for him, and I love the music he's made, but I do not want to be Billy, right? It's, he is Billy Corgan. I am not, right? Same applies to any musician, right? But, yeah, there are other bands I'm going to go after. One that I'm going to do because I loved it when I was younger is the Deftones. And now that I have a JMP1, it should be pretty easy to go after some Deftones sounds. Deftones are another band that I love. Another one that I might play with, I'd have to be pretty specific in what I was going to go after, though, is Radiohead. Radiohead's another band that I loved in my youth. I still love. I was listening to Radiohead yesterday. I introduced my wife to Radiohead yesterday. She doesn't like Western music, really at all. She loves Thai music. And so Radiohead is probably one of the first ones I've put on where she's like, okay. It's not loud and angry. She hates distorted guitar. So putting Radiohead on, I put on Kid A. And yeah, it didn't drive her crazy. That was a win. Where are we? Silver fuck her out of your life? I have no idea. I watched the Guitar Center with Billy talk about how he loved the Line 6 HX. Is this sacrilegious? No. Not at all. Gear has uses, right? All gear can have use. It doesn't have to be big and expensive. Cheap and cheery is okay. Multi-effect things can be okay, right? Like, the Eventide H1000 is a multi-effects unit. Yes, it's an expensive one, but it's a multi-effects unit, right? A guy that I would play a lot of music with in Canada, his name's Sean. And this guy's a very creative musician, and he's got lots of pedals, but he relies on an HX Stomp a lot, and he gets some crazy sounds out of it. And a lot of when we would do jam sessions together, I'd be pulling out some crazy sounds from the H9, and he'd be pulling crazy sounds from the HX Stomp. And there were some sounds he got out of that HX Stomp that made me go, huh? How? They're great, right? Any gear can sound good, right? It's I think having too much snobbery around gear can be a negative. Approach all things with open ears, right? All things with open ears. It's amazing what some cheap fuzz pedals can sound like. Just keep in mind that a Big Muff used to be a very, very cheap fuzz, right? It was a cheap fuzz. Now, but they used to be. RKS Legend. Kind of fuzz distortion with some EQ shaping, and can be used after distortion fuzz to flavor them. I don't quite understand the question. Maybe type it again. Give me, help me to understand it, and I'll answer it as soon as you just give me. I'm not quite sure what you mean, but retype it. Let me know what you're thinking. EA Skate upgraded to a Kiox power supply and haven't looked back. Yeah. Okay. So, exactly. I'm not doing it now because I leave too soon. I don't want to be buying things, too much stuff, because I've already bought a lot recently. But my plan is to upgrade all of my boards to be using the Kiox system. I don't know how to pronounce it. But I like those. They sound quiet. They work in multiple different power regions, which is really important. Like, I had to leave all my Voodoo power supplies in Canada because they're 120, and Japan's 100, right? So that's kind of a requirement for power supplies for me, is that I can bring them between regions. Yeah, so that's my plan, is to go with them. I plan on putting one under each of my 2 bigger boards, and then I have a small one that I'm very happy with that can live underneath the middle board. The middle board only holds 2 big muffs. It holds a op-amp big muff and the big muff too, so it doesn't need anything crazy. In fact, I'll probably move. It's a 1 spot. I'll move the 1 spot over to that to control that. It has an IEC. That's the other requirement. They have to have IEC power connections. I don't want any of the 9-volt barrel connectors. It's difficult for routing in the room. But yeah, that's the plan. They seem to make the best power supplies from what I've seen, and that's what I want. Time to skate or die. I used to have a V3 microsynth. I regrettably sold and was tempted to get another one. I was curious, so I appreciate doing the shootout. No problem. I really, the reissue microsynth is great, right? The vintage ones are a little nicer. They really are. They have a slightly different sound, but if you have access to a vintage one and you have a reissue, you can actually open up the reissues and tweak them. They can be tweaked to be more like the old ones. I was completely unaware of this recently until I found a Reddit post on the topic, and someone that techs pedals talked through how to do it. And if I get my hands on an older one, I'll probably try it out and see how accurate that was. But I've been able to get close with the modern microsynth anyways, right? It's they're good. They're not exactly the same, but they're extremely close. And I think 99% of people won't be able to tell the difference blindfolded. But yeah. Thank you, Memory Driven. I think that it all sounds good. I love guitar pedals. Skate or Die, yeah. Yes, definitely sounds a bit different. The Earthquaker Devices Bit Commander sounds a bit different. But it's still a good pedal. Like, I have it. I haven't gotten rid of it, which means I like it, right? It's a cool pedal, and again, like we talked about earlier, it's better as a standalone pedal in some ways. It's more raw sounding than a microsynth, right? It's bit crushers are cool. Like, I like bit crushing pedals a lot. Like, I'm super curious to try the JHS bit crusher. I'll probably pick one up at some point. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the video. No, I don't think it did the Siamese Dream sound. It got in the ballpark, though, right? It definitely got in the ballpark. It's not the Siamese Dream sound, but it's in the ballpark. And like I've said before, going for exact is fun. It's not always necessary, though, right? It's a practice and understanding tone. It doesn't mean you have to completely duplicate it. Lots of people speaking for the Seahawks. How do I pronounce it? Someone tell me. Yeah, the expansion part is one of the reasons I want it. Right? Like, eventually I might go back to having 1 giant board instead of having 3 small boards, and yeah, we'll see. Yeah, okay, I'm not crazy. Yeah, you used to be able to buy the Earthquaker Devices Bit Commander all day for under $100, and now they've become expensive. I think for a while people didn't understand them, but I think people are starting to kind of get onto the vibe of it. Like, they're really good. Early is it over there in Thailand? Would you consider redoing an instrument cover of Today after your discoveries? Okay, so right now I'm in Japan. I'm not in Thailand yet. I leave for Thailand on the 4th. Japan and Thailand are 2 hours in time difference. So right now it is 8:51 a.m. in Japan, which means it's 6:51 a.m. in Thailand. I can't wait to get back to Thailand. I love Thailand. I know you guys don't care, but I can't wait to fight again. I love fighting. It's one of the best things for me about being in Thailand. And I promise you, it hasn't happened yet, but once I'm in Thailand, I will show up into these live streams and be doing videos, and I will have black eyes sometimes. You don't have to worry about it. Just remember, it means I was having fun. Anyhow, yeah, so there's a couple songs that I think I'm going to redo as covers. Today is one of them. Rocket is one of them. Those two I did with plugins, and now that I have full access to the Rocket sound, I want to redo Rocket. I also want to redo Today because I know I can perfect it, but I want my amp from Canada, or I want to find something similar to a Valco here in Japan. There are some. I need to find one, or even in Thailand. I don't care where. I just want to find one. And then I need to get my hands, or I need to build one of the Maestro parametric EQ pedals, because I'm very, very sure that it's the sound of the verses, right? I think that plugged into a JSON 800 is that slightly gritty, distorted sound on the verses. So once I have those, yeah, I'll completely cover Today again. And then the other one I want to recover is Soma. I really want to redo Soma because I know I can perfect Soma. And the Soma solo is a solo that I've played so much now that I can play it in my sleep. And when I've a lot of folks have really resonated, they responded well to my Soma solo on my cover, but when I hear it differently than you do, and I'm not happy with it. I know that I can play it a lot better at this point, right? So yeah, there's a couple that I'll redo over time. But my main concentration is on the tone chasing videos more than anything. And like I said earlier in the video, it's more or less when I can't put out one of the tone chasing videos that I say, okay, I can do a cover now, right? Yeah. The one thing that making videos has turned into for me is it's still fun, don't get me wrong when I say this, I love it, but it's turned into part of the guitar pedal business as well, right? The guitar pedal business has been doing pretty good, and there's definitely a correlation between putting out content about tone chasing and guitar pedals for me. So I need to look at it from that perspective as well, especially if I want to be able to eventually move on from my normal day job to only making guitar pedals. I need to think about it in those terms. And don't take it as me doing videos for any other reason. Like, I make videos because I love making videos. That's why I started, and it's still why I do it. It's why I try to make them as good as I possibly can, right? That for me is an art form, and I love it. But like, it definitely now has a business side tied to it, which is really interesting, and I need to pay attention to it. So yeah, but so when I can't make a video about tone chasing, that's when I let myself do a cover. And that's why like I did the one this weekend, right? And at the same time, don't take it the wrong way. Like, it meant I was happy. It meant I got to make a cover. Like, I love making the covers. Like, for me, that's huge. So yeah, covers. One thing that I find when I'm not doing covers that it kind of actually bothers me is when I started doing them, right? It was so I could make videos, like I said earlier, but it was also my reason to practice guitar, right? Like, I had a bigger practice regimen before, and right now I actually feel kind of unpracticed because my time is so limited, right? It's kind of, so that's something I actually miss about making the covers. It was my reason to practice. It gave me a reason to do something, right? Like, when I did this cover this weekend, there's one part, you'll see that I released it twice, like I mentioned earlier, once without vocals and then once with Billy's vocals inserted back in. Well, when I did the vocal reinserted one, oh, whoops, sorry, give me 1 second. I'm pulling the power key out of something. While I was doing the vocal one, you'll notice that I redid the lead at the end, right? And that's because when I'm playing standing up, especially with the guitar lower, I have a harder time playing parts, right? Like, the one part, I'm just going to play it clean, right? Right? I missed the string there. But yeah, that part, playing standing up, is a lot harder, right? Playing sitting down, it's easier. So I re-recorded that as well as like the rest of that solo, right? Because the that part's easy when you're sitting down. When you're standing up, then it changes, right? Like, when I usually play guitar, I normally actually keep the guitar relatively high. I lower the guitar for the videos just because I'm going for an aesthetic, right? Videos are aesthetic in some ways, right? So you have to kind of find a blend. But yeah, it still made me feel unpracticed when I was doing that one part with the flashing colorly light parts. That's the one part that I had to retake so many times, because playing it standing up with the guitar low, it was frustrating me so much. because it was harder to play standing up. And I have mild arthritis in my hands too, so this finger started really acting up, and it was just kind of like, it was annoying. It was super frustrating. So I re-recorded it when I was sitting down. It's yeah. I'm so much happier with the way that turned out in the second one. I also realized I was playing. When I don't play something for a long time, sometimes I play it wrong. So in the first version of it, I was playing that last thing I was just showing, that's how you're supposed to play it. In the first no vocal cover, I was playing it wrong, and I did, which is incorrect. And when you watch the vocal cover of it, that's still the video that's showing, but you'll hear that instead of doing that, it's actually going. And that one's better because that last note it ends on adds some tension. Like it's a much better line for that part. I don't think many folks are going to pick up on it, but some of you might have picked up on it. Anyhow, where else are we? Zen Underground. I'm like 20 years late, but I just discovered Queens of the Stone Age. Don't worry about it. It's okay to discover a band late. There's nothing wrong with that, right? I discovered them relatively late too. Yeah. It's okay to discover a band late. It's a wonderful thing about music. When you find it, it's new to you, and you can truly dive into it, right? Arceus Legend, I think Queens of the Stone Age used the PDF pedal I was mentioning earlier. Maybe. I saw, I think one of those reverb videos where they clone sounds. I think they were using one in there. I don't know if it's, because they used it or not. I don't remember. I've seen the rig rundowns and whatnot, but I just don't remember. My memory's not amazing. I guess I'm getting old. What about Jerry Cantrell and Alice in Chains? Zen Underground. What about Jerry Cantrell and Alice in Chains? That dude was close to Billy's level with this stuff. In terms of guitar proficiency, I wouldn't say close to. I'd say he's probably on the same level. Like, they're both phenomenal guitarists. Phenomenal guitarists, right? They're different, and that's okay. But I'd say they're two of the guitarists from that era that were on that level. And a lot of guitarists from the 90s, like in terms of lead prowess, weren't all on that level, right? Billy and Jerry were on that level, right? Like, it's like Kurt Cobain, he was not on that level for leads. He was a different kind of guitarist, and I still think he's a great guitarist, just different, right? And a lot of musicians are like that. Same with Adam Jones from Tool, right? He's not like some virtuoso lead player, but his guitar playing is incredible, right? Absolutely phenomenal. But it's more about the writing, and it's the riffing is incredible, right? Different guitarists are good on different levels for different things, right? It's like unearthing old recipes from chefs from the past. Tone chasing, yeah, that's about right. Diamond Eyes, yes, that'd be a good Deftones song to go after for sure. Kim Thale. Yeah. So Concrete Badger says Jerry Cantrell is pretty great. Really like his stuff. Kim Thale too. Yes, Kim Thale is a great guitarist as well. I was thinking about Kim Thale. So the video where I was in Tokyo going looking for budget gear, while I was there, I was this close to buying a Leslie. So there is a Leslie sitting at a shop in Tokyo. It's been there for 4 years now, and no one's bought it. And if any of you love Leslie's, this might make you cry. It was 18,000 yen. 18,000 yen's about 160 Canadian dollars. So it's about 130 USD. And it's an old, one of the brown box, one of the original Leslie's. It's just space. That's the only reason it didn't come home. But either way, if you don't know why I'm talking about a Leslie, Kim Thale, Black Hole Sun is a Leslie. I'm pretty sure that it's a rotary speaker that was used for the Black Hole Sun warbly modulation sound at the start. And that's why I kind of wanted it. I think, so one of the things that my wife and I need to do is buy a house here in Japan. And we've actually asked the lady that we rent this house from. A lot of times houses get rented because in Japan it's kind of hard to sell an old house sometimes. So we've offered to buy this house, and I would like to buy this house. And if we can come up to an arrangement she's happy with, then some things will change in this house. For example, like this room I've mentioned is the only room with heat and air conditioning. Well, there's a sliding door that goes between the living room. That wall you see beside my rig is actually a sliding door, and you can lift it out. So what my wife and I have talked about is if we buy the house, we'll take the living room out and we'll move it to one of the rooms upstairs, and we'll extend the studio office into both rooms. And at that point, then I can have things like a Leslie and a drum set. Because I think I've mentioned it before, like, I do play drums. I just don't have a drum set. I love being able to play drums. I'll still have Memory Driven playing drums for me. He's a better drummer than me. But, like, I do want to be able to play drums for little samples and whatnot when I need to, right? Like, I don't like using the Logic drummer for a lot of the stuff that I do. I'd rather be able to just lay down a drum beat quickly. And if I have both these rooms, I have the space for a kit. That was another tangent. I go off on tangents pretty easily. My video editing process is pretty funny. If y'all saw it, like, I don't script my videos, right? I just set up the camera and I know what I'm going to talk about, and then I start talking. But I go off in these tangents when I'm recording videos too. And then when I'm in editing, I'm looking at myself, listening to myself talk. I'm like, stop going off on tangents, man. You're making the video sizes massive, and I'm not going to use it. Stop it. It's me communicating with myself. Not a sign of anything, I swear. Ramses 8847. As a 90s kid, I was Siamese Dream and OK Computer. Or it was Siamese Dream and OK Computer for tone chasing for me. Yeah. I can understand that completely. Like, I have a deep love of Radiohead. Truly. Radiohead is... Yeah. One of the best live shows I've ever seen was Radiohead. Absolutely. One of the most impressive things was someone passed out in the audience. And they stopped... Tom was just, stop. He got them to come take the person out of the audience. He's like, okay. And he turns back to the band. He's like, 1, 2, 3, bang, right where they left off. Right. Obviously, they're playing to a click, right? Because Radiohead has a lot of, like, synthy noise kind of stuff going on, so they have to. But, like, very cool. Very cool. Nancification. What's the source of Butch talking about the Today intro amp? I think it was actually in the Beato interview. It was either the Beato interview or it was in the session he did on that forum. What are they called now? It used to be Gear Sluts, but they changed it because of obvious reasons. It's something else. But it's in one of those two interviews. Pumpkinhead is live. Yes, I am. Every Sunday night for American folks, Monday morning for me here in Japan. HX Stomp is incredible, sold mine, regret it. You can always buy another one. Just, you know. There's a rule. If you can't buy two, you can't buy one. So just save up, buy it again. Nothing wrong with it. If you miss it, save up, buy it. Eastgate, I think it's pronounced Chalks. That could be it. That would make sense. Ben Speeds, I'm doing God's work. Young man. How old do you think I am? I'd like to be young. I'm 46 at the moment. I'm not old, but, you know, I'm not a kid. But I love tone chasing bands. Pumpkins, obviously, in particular. But like I mentioned earlier, we'll get into some other bands, too, for sure. Ramses, what's the difference in sound between reissues and originals? I think you're talking about the microsynth. The new ones have almost a cleaner sound, but I think it's to do with how they're triggered. So the thing I read on Reddit was basically that it's how they're triggered and it changes the sound a little bit. Again, if I get my hands on an old one, which I eventually will do, I'll try and go into this one and make them sound identical, and then I'll speak on it in a more concrete way. Until then, I kind of kind of hold off a bit. Okay. So you use the so Arcade Legend, use the PDF one after other fuzz pedals then? Like you use it as a tone shaper? Is that what you mean? I need to try some of their pedals. Like their stuff looks super cool. Chalks. Okay, so it's probably Chalks then. I've got a couple of you telling me it's Chalks. Very cool. Arceus Legend. Are you familiar at all with Marshall valve state amps at all? I was given one salvaged from a flooded basement, but I haven't explored it much yet. A valve state AVT 150H. Valve state 2000. Okay, so I've been told, and it's theorized, that the valve states actually sound very similar to the JMPs. They started in the same kind of era. My very first Marshall I ever owned was a valve state 8080. And at the time, I didn't like it, but it's because it wasn't the sound I wanted in my head. But now, retrospectively, I've played a few, and they sound great for the Marshall sound. Like, they can sound fantastic. And eventually I'll get my hands on one to see how close I can make it sound to the JMP1. Like, I might, because they can be had for pretty cheap, I might grab one in Thailand and do that as something in Thailand. Because there's like a pawn shop that I know in Chiang Mai, where my house in Thailand is, and they have a few valve states sitting around, and they're pretty cheap. So I might go grab one and explore that, especially if the Colombo Audio, the one, truly sounds like a JMP1. I'll have something I can compare it with, right? And that, because that's what I'd want it for. I'd want it to be like an amp that could be that, you know, carry around melancholy sound, right? Because that's what I think it could potentially be. It's like they're chocked full of power. I like it. JR293S. I've been experimenting. The Behringer TM300, which is a Sans amp clone, does great MCIS tone plugged into the power amp section. I also use an EP booster to make more gain and fatten it up. Yeah, so like a lot of the melancholy sound is just like any gain that can be made Marshall-esque and then boosted, right? That will get you in the ballpark of melancholy, right? Getting exact is, you know, a different thing. That's why, so I think most of you are aware I now have a Strategy 500 here as well. Yeah. Shout out to Evan. Man, Evan made this happen. So right after I put up the JMP1 video and said, yeah, this is something that, you know, it's hard to get if you have one, hold on to it. I get an email from Evan saying, got something for you. And he made this happen. And yeah, literally beyond words. I need to speak to this man voice by voice. I've been talking to him through email, and it's not enough. I need to thank this man with words. Like, I'm astonished I have this thing. It has a clean bill of health from a tech, but the one thing it needs is the 6550s. So it has all the 6L6s ready to go, but it needs 6550s. That's why I haven't done anything with it yet. I'm trying to get it ready to do a video before I go to Thailand, but my biggest concern is I might have to wait till I get back from Thailand to do a video with the Strategy. But 100% it's coming. Very excited about that. But yeah, back to what I was saying, you can really kind of get close to any sound with to the melancholy sound with just a Marshall sound, a big clean power amp, and like boost, right? You can get into that zone for sure. Ha, John, did your Nembrini JMP1 settings match when you got the real one? Are they similar to the MP1 Gish settings would be? I can't say about the MP1 thing. So my settings that I did for the Nembrini video were definitely different, and I haven't tried to match them yet for one reason and one reason alone. The step-up converter I was using to run the JMP1, because just like the JCM 800 and 900 I was mentioning earlier, they never made it for 100 volt. They just said, here you go, Japan, no ground plug. Now this is an American version, Saturn, Sega Saturn. He's a viewer on the channel, you see him on Reddit. He helped me get this thing. He made the arrangements and took care of all the shipping and handled it for me, right? So it's an American model, so it has the ground plug, which I want. But then right after making the JMP1 video, the step-up converter died. So I haven't been able to go too much further with it. I have another step-up converter on order. When it gets here, one of the first things I'm going to do is match the Nembrini. I want to see if I can get them to sound identical. Because the Nembrini definitely gets in the ballpark. And I want to try a couple different things. Like I also want to... I want to try and use the 3630 to push it, but I have a feeling I'm going to run into problems with my interface running it as a boost. So we'll see. But I'll definitely be working to match it better now that I have access to this in the actual settings, for sure. GDD site. I'm butchering your name. I'm really sorry. I don't know. But anyhow, have you ever chased acoustic tones on Siamese Stream? I have a cheap old Ovation. It's funny you say that. And even that recreates them pretty well. Although I've heard they're very difficult to get to sound good in a mix. Okay. So I've been playing guitar for 32 years? 32, 33 years? I just bought my first acoustic guitar last week. I'm I've never owned one. And I just saw a cheap one that I picked it up and it felt good, sitting at a hard off for like no money. It was dirt cheap. And it felt good. But I've been thinking that I need to do some more stuff with acoustic lately anyways. And oddly enough, Ovations are cheap here in Japan. I saw one or just yesterday. And I only didn't buy it. Again, same reason. I bought so much stuff and I'm leaving for Thailand recently. Or leaving for Thailand soon. So I haven't wanted to do that. Just because I don't want to buy a bunch of stuff and have it sitting here and going to waste in some ways almost. I'll buy one when I come back, though. Now I want to get an Ovation, because I do want to go after some of those earlier sounds. But, yeah. For sure. I want to try some of the acoustic stuff. Jet Seth Radio 1. Yo, Eddie, got my Jet 70. Thanks. Also, I'm going to see the Pumpkins in October. First time. Oh, man. Okay, first time seeing the Pumpkins? Have fun. Like, it's... I remember my first time seeing the Pumpkins, and... yeah. It was a core memory. Absolute core memory. You'll thoroughly love seeing them, for sure. And I'm glad you got your Jet 70. It's I got through the vast majority of all the Mr. Zipper orders, at least from like that initial launch. That took me so long to build. Oh my god, they're so slow to build. Like the next set of versions I'm just redesigning are faster to build. They'll sound identical, but just faster to build. So I've been able to start pumping Jet 70s out pretty quickly. So I should, by the time I go to Thailand, it should be down to maybe a 1 week wait for Jet 70s. Right? I've kind of got those, building those, I've got that down to an art. It doesn't take me long to build them these days. So I should be pretty caught up. Very excited. Yes, referring to Tone Chasing Kentrell. Very cool. Favorite Tool album. I don't know, man. Anima, Lateralis, 10,000 Days. I like Tool. Right. Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Now you made me want to play Tool. In back in like the early 2000s, I have this friend named Scott. And Scott is a phenomenal drummer. And the way we started playing together was playing Tool songs. He was the only drummer I knew back then that could actually play Tool songs. And I mean like actually play them. Later in time he went to school for jazz drumming, and scarily enough he got even better. But I went through a long period of time playing a lot of Tool. Give me one moment here. I'm doing something. Actually, yeah, no, we'll use this one. It's been getting hotter and humid, so the guitars are often in their cases now. It's easier to temperature control with this heater in the winter. Alright, you're gonna have to give me a moment. I'm getting there. We're gonna do this with really very little booster gain. Back volume. Alright, I'm gonna have to adjust the preamp, so give me a second here. I do love Tool, like, in a big way. Yeah. Yeah. I used to play a lot of Tool, and I'm really rough in terms of Tool these days. I used to be able to play all of Anima all the way through. That was the first album that I learned through and through and through. I loved that album. But, like, in general, like, I even, like... I just love Tool. It always bugs me when I see people play Anima wrong, though. Like, pet peeve, little pet peeves. Like, it's okay. Like, you don't strum it. You just leave it open. You only hit that open. And one of the keys to Tool, and it's a Billy Corgan thing, too. So there's little things in terms of how you play that are going to change your guitar tone. And one that people don't seem to speak about much is how you hold your pick. If you leave your pick so just a little bit's coming out so your thumb can activate harmonics, that's a big part of that opening, right? That sound, that... hit where your thumb kind of triggers harmonics is part of the enema sound, right? Like that like you have to use your thumb to hit. And it also comes into playing leads, like Mayonnaise, same thing. It's that same pinched kind of sound, right? And if you always have the pick like that, it becomes a choice whether you can trigger them or not. It's just a little thing. But yeah, Tool. I just love Tool in general. Really. Oh, I didn't know that. JR293S says, just so you know, Chris Cornell played all the parts, intro and main on Black Hole Sun, except Sale played the solo. I did not know that. That's super cool. Okay, good to know. And that guy was a great musician in general. He went way too soon. G'day, Eddie. I was really inspired by your other Seafoamy Fender. I built my own to replicate it, and now it's my favorite guitar. Okay, so it's a surf green. It's a surf green pearl metallic. I love that guitar color. I love that guitar. The two guitars that I've said this before, the two guitars that I swap between being my favorite guitars on any given day is my red Strat, which is an Eric Johnson Strat, and then that surf green pearl metallic Strat. That is a Fender Hot Rod series from 2001, I think? 2001, 2002. And, I didn't have the mic on. I'll do the Tool thing again in a second. Bear with me. But, yeah, that guitar is a great guitar, and it plays really well. It's almost time to have it refretted, but I almost don't want to do it yet because it just feels so good. That guitar, so when I used to participate in this music space back in Canada, any person that played that guitar, for the most part, there's very few people that didn't, but many people would offer to buy that guitar. It has a feel. It plays so well. It was plecked, and the neck is just magic. It's a great guitar. Now, I don't know which rendition of it you loved, because the two pick guard that used to be in it is now in this guitar, and it now has 3-lace sensors in it. Because it's I play leads best on that guitar, and because of that, I decided to make it a Siamese Dream / Melancholy style guitar for videos, because I know that when it comes time to play leads, if I really kind of need something where I have a little bit more wiggle room, it can help me. But I love that guitar, and down the road, I might swap the pickups again back, because the aesthetic of that guitar with this pickguard looks so good. It was actually inspired by that one Charvel. I always mess the guy's name up, so I'm not even gonna try it. There's this white custom Charvel, like it's an artist model that has it's white and it's all relict and the headstock's reversed. It has a Floyd. That was the inspiration behind how the green guitar with this pickup configuration looked. Like, not traditional Strat looking, but man, so cool. Ramsey's Radiohead on OK Computer Tour was one of my favorite shows ever. I saw them on that tour. Yes. There's nothing wrong with liking 10,000 Days. When someone has an opinion about something, it's okay. If you like something the best, go with it. There's nothing wrong with that, right? For example, the Hello Kitty Cat cover. Some folks really like it, and then some folks are like, I like the old version, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great. People should have their own opinion. Don't present it to me as fact and tell me I'm wrong for doing the other way. It's you won't get a good reaction out of me because I don't like being told my opinion's wrong. It's okay to have your opinion. They're opinions. But, yeah. So one of the only things that really bugs me is when people try to express their opinion as pure fact. It drives me insane. It's and it's usually not because they've tried something, or it's always just because it's, their opinion is what they think. Don't tell me it's fact. Tell me it's your opinion. That I respect. So if you like 10,000 Days and you think it's their peak writing, I respect that. It's cool. And I think it's a great album. Maynard's vocal range on Lateralis. I think Maynard's vocal range in general, in terms of singers from the 90s, there's arguments to be made for who the best singer from the 90s was. Lane Staley gets a definite nod. Maynard's my choice. Maynard's my choice. He's the one that I like the best from the 90s in terms of vocals. Like, I think incredible. Incredible. Not sure if you ever talked about it already, but what do you think of the Debbie Ever Rocket pedal? I've never touched one. I've seen it, and I did. You'll notice that when I made the Jet 70, I didn't theme it after the Pumpkins, right? Something about theming something after a band, making it rubs me the wrong way. And it's okay, it's what they want to do, that's cool, but for me, it's just not for me, so I've never really looked at them. Now, recently, I became a little bit more interested because, let me show you something. I have something cool. Where'd I put it? There it is. So here in Japan, we get different editions of magazines. And I recently picked up 2 copies of this. It's the Japanese My Bloody Valentine edition of Guitar Magazine. I bought one for myself and one for John Pick. Now, where is it? I'm going to show you something that just kind of shocked me. The pictures of their gear in here is incredible. Incredible. But I want to show you one picture in particular. Okay, here it is. This is the floorboard for Kevin Shields. This is what's on the ground, not what's in his racks, because he has like 6 rack trays of pedals. But there's a Debbie Ever Rocket on the floor. Kind of blew my mind that he had one of those on the floor. So that's what made me curious about it, seeing him play one. So I started looking into it. I realized I always thought it was like a big muff with a mids knob or something like that. But then, yeah, it's not. It's something else completely different. Like, a truly bizarre pedal. Very cool. I just got notification that my Colombo Audio The One got through customs, which means it'll be here tomorrow. Which means I think this Friday's video is going to be on that, if I don't get the tubes for the strategy in time. Anyhow, oh, itchy. Yeah, so I've never tried one. I'm curious about it now that I've seen Kevin Shields is using it. I'll probably have a look at one at some point, right? Yeah. I've never really been into the Debbie Ever stuff, though, just because I didn't like the way they, used the Pumpkins as an advertising thing, like, for their product, saying Billy was using it and stuff. It's like, I think, if you're going to talk about an artist using something, you should have their permission, right? That just kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, right? And, like, this is from my perspective as, like, a pedal builder. Like, I think if anyone was ever using my pedal, I don't think I would say. Like, I think it wouldn't be right ethically as a business person, right? So that has to be something that's, arrangements are made for. But, yeah. Yeah. Anyhow, but I will take a look at it, especially now that I've seen Kevin Shields used it, for sure. Hey, Teddy Smith. I'm glad you're excited for the melon stuff. I really hope the tubes get here in time for the strategy. I really want them to get here. I want to be able to do the strategy video before I leave. And my plan for the strategy video, I want to be able to turn it up all the way. So I'm planning on renting. There's this small, like, auditorium place here that people do sports and whatnot, and you can rent it. It's cheap too. So one of the Muay Thai classes I teach, I rent the judo room there, or we rent the judo room there so I can teach. And to rent that room for 2 hours, it's 1,000 yen, which is like, $7 US. I think 6-7 is a meme of some kind. I'm too old to know what memes are. That's not true. Not that old. Surely he's in here. Who's Shirley, and why are they here? Look at that dad joke. Concrete Badger. When I was 1920, I had a lot of fun trying to get the melancholy sound out of DSL 401. I miss that amp. One of those sell and regret afterwards situations. Yeah, I've got a couple of those. We all have them. Right? Like my very first JCM 800, I wish I never sold. I wish I just held on to that one. But that's okay. Harmonic Porcolator. Oh, that's a great name. I've been thinking about building a harmonic percolator lately just for fun, but I haven't had time. Anyhow, I've been fooling around with the Nambrini JMP and Big Muff plugins, and I've gotten some interesting results. Seems to do something cool on clean too with the muff tone control turned down a bit. Yeah, like it. Sega, yeah, Sega Saturn. We were talking about this. Sometimes he runs a big muff into the clean of his JMP just because it's more manageable at apartment volume levels than plugging it into even like an SC20. Because even a Marshall SC20 with the wattage set to 5 watts, with the master volume up, it's still loud, right? Like the master volumes in JSM 800 circuits are terrible, and you have to be high for it to work. So, yeah. Chalky Dre, like as in Dr. Dre. There's a side of me that loves hip hop. Okay. Yeah, my dad was lucky enough to see them during the Gish era. I did get to see them a couple of years ago with Weezer supporting. That's very cool. Yeah, I was a little young to go see them live for the Gish era, and still like a little bit young during Siamese Dream. My mom wouldn't let me go for sure. By Melancholy, it was time for me to be able to see them. But yeah. You think, so I think Billy used an Ovation L717 to record Siamese Dream. Although any Ovation balladeer with that should work in that kind of sound. I think you mean like the bowl back kind of Ovations. I think that's what you mean. But again, like I said earlier, I only bought my first acoustic recently. I don't know a lot about them. Like I like them, but yeah. Tone Electronics. Hello, Eddie. Subscribed some time ago, but it's my first time here on the stream. Oh, it's late for you. 1:15 a.m. That's late for you. I'm guessing you're probably in Europe. As a Smashing Pumpkins fan and a pedal builder myself, I want to thank you so much for all that you share with us. No problem. Happy to. I love talking to other pedal builders. One thing I've learned about the pedal building industry is pedal builders are all friendly. Even like people that work for other companies are friendly with each other. It's so cool. Like previously, my experience with like cross like company stuff was from the car world. Car tuners are not nice to each other. Generally speaking, they're really not nice to each other. It gave me the impression that a lot of business was like that. And yeah, no, I'm super happy seeing the pedal world is so different. I love it. Schism is fun. Yes, it is. Chalky Dre, man, I'm a sucker for the parabola transition. Yeah, all of us are. 100%. Teddy Smith, I'm going to steal Billy Corgan's Melancholy sound thanks to you. You're not stealing it. You're cloning it. You're copying it. And you're learning from it. Right? There's nothing wrong with cloning someone's tone and learning from it. That is A-okay. It's a net positive. You learn something, right? It's always good to learn from people that have come before, especially people who, clearly have a good ear for what guitar sound is. And Billy obviously has a good ear for guitar sound, right? 1 second. Let me get back to Siamese Dream mode. Ooh, there we are. Okay, that's better. I think we'll keep using the black guitar for now. The in-between position on this guitar is so strange. So right now I'm using the middle position, which is the Seymour Duncan JB and a gold lace sensor. It's a really unique sound. Let me give you some audio. Cool sound. 6.7. Yeah, okay. So, time out. I jumped ahead here. I saw the 6.7 thing. A couple people commented on the video on which one was it? The Melancholy JMP sound when I was showing on the Marshall. And like I had the master volume around 6 or 7 and I just said 6.7 and I'm like, why are people commenting on this part? What is it about 6.7? So then I kind of realized I think it's a meme. Is it a meme? Am I correct that 6'7" is a meme? Like, makes me feel old. I'm only 45. I'll be 46 this year. I'm not that old. Come on. Okay, check this out. This is kind of cool. So, this guitar is wired a little different. I changed the wiring when I put the pickguard in here. I left the same like values because I wanted it to be less polish in terms of how the bridge humbucker sounded, but check this out. So it's actually a 5-way. Bridge, middle is middle, this is the neck. This position is out of phase between these two, and it's great for leads. I'll show you in 1 second. And then this is in series. So instead of being parallel, it's series, which makes it super hot. But check this out. Here's just the humbucker. Here's out of phase. The out of phase gives a big muff attack. Like, you can play Tool riffs. Excuse me. You can use a big muff to play Tool riffs when you're using this out of phase position. It has attack. It's so weird. Vomit riff. If you know what the vomit riff is, I don't know. Say you know what the vomit riff is. Vomit riff. Yes. Okay, where are we? Archaeus Legend. Have you ever experimented using 2 amps in a live setting? No. When it comes to playing live, I think stereo kind of... Like, if you mean just 2 amps, like, I've never bothered. I've never played a venue where I needed 2 amps, right? Like... it's more of a home thing for playing at home when I'd be using 2 or 3 amps, and that would be to simulate, you know, like a mixed guitar sound, which now that we have the right speaker for Siamese Dream is wholly unnecessary, right? Like, I don't know if the microphone is giving the right impression, but like sitting here in this room playing this guitar, even though it's not the right guitar, through an op-amp Big Muff into a JCM 800 through a G12 M70, it sounds like Siamese Dream, right? I have that sound in the room. Like, it's exactly like the album. If you play this way with the album on a song that has the op-amp Big Muff, it just kind of blends into the song, right? It's kind of cool. You know you have the sound in the room if when you're playing, it fully blends in with the album, right? That's, yeah. But yeah, no, never too live. It also sounds like a backbreaker, like carrying multiple amps. Like, if I'm going to go play live at this point, I'm probably going to bring something really small. Like, that's one thing I actually love about this little JCM 900 that I converted into an 800. This is an amp I would bring to play somewhere. Because it gives me, like, I can use, like, a speaker that I like. It has a G12 M70 in it. And I don't use fuzz live with people, really, aside from, like, maybe using a Jet 70 for leads, just because it has a mid-push that you can use live, whereas a Big Muff is mostly going to disappear, right? But yeah, I would bring 1 amp, right? Like, preferably something with about 50 watts so you can guarantee everything's going to be okay. But yeah. Yepers. But at home, 2 amp setups can be really cool. And, like, Billy doesn't like stereo sounds. I'm the opposite. At home, I like stereo sounds. I think it's a really cool sound. Like, I love running the Strymon Deco in wide stereo mode with 2 amps. I think it's a really cool sound. Like, running Marshall on one side, Reverber Rocket, which is now in my upstairs room. But I used to run those in stereo together with wide stereo mode on the Deco, and that's such a cool sound. So cool. Nancification. Opinion. Lateralis is the best Tool album. Fact. Every Tool album is the best Tool album. Fact. I can live with that. Teddy Smith, my opinion is always right, and that's objectively correct. I can live with that, too. Arcade's Legend. I play guitar in a 3-piece band. In the past year, I started exploring using high headroom clean amp for my fuzz and distortion and Fender Blues Deluxe overdriven. Still experimenting, but enjoying it. Yeah, when you're in a 3-piece, fuzz works better. You don't have to worry so much about getting lost. You just have to make sure there's a big volume jump, right? Because that big volume jump makes up for the the mid scoop sound getting lost in the mix. So that's what Dinosaur Jr. does, right? He plays with his clean sound relatively subdued. It makes the fuzz sound loud. It makes up for that difference, right? Yeah, I haven't used a fuzz live since it's been a long time. And that's what I did. Like, I've told this story before, but like I had my JCM 800 on stage and I just ran it loud because it was a big stage with a big open area, and I played JCM 800 loud. And when you hit that big muff, it was loud, right? But it didn't get lost in the mix. When I heard the recordings from out in the crowd, everything was blended. It made the sound guy really angry. I didn't care. He tried to come on stage and turn my amp down, and I walked him off the stage. Yeah. Yeah. That's the only way you can really get away with it. But yeah, I think just drive sounds are easier if you're in a band with more than one person. You skate. Oh shit! You saw scans of that mag? Yeah, the My Bloody Valentine one. Yeah. I went to go buy one, and I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, no, I'm buying two. John Pick needs one of these. So I'm mailing it out to John with the Yamaha Rex 50. I'm going to send him a package with both of them. Chalky Dre, it's crazy. You can never seem to scratch the edge with a rocket tone. What kind of alternative flanger pedal do you think emulates the nasally sound of that riff best? If you can't do an Alesis Quadraverb or a Korg SDD, right? Those two are the best for doing that sound. The Quadraverb Plus is the correct one. The Korg SDD does the same sound. It just doesn't go quite as slow. Then an Electric Mistress fills in the gap, right? Like here. So you get an Electric Mistress, you set it to filter mode. God, this thing has clock noise. One second. Let me dial it in a little bit. I was doing... So yeah, so like an Electric Mistress kind of sound. I use a Past Effects elastic mattress. That's kind of my preferred one for an Electric Mistress sound, but it can kind of fill the gap for the the Quadraverb or what have you. And if you do end up wanting a Quadraverb, it has to be the Plus. Like you need to have a Plus, right? It's the one that has the right settings. The rest of them, they're not quite it, right? I hope that helps. Yes, you got me to say 6-7. That's right. Harmonic Porculator. Good. Like I said earlier, I really need to build a clone of one of those. Like that's the Steve Albini sound, right? Teddy Smith, you're from Oz. Is Australia's time zone really super different than here? Wait, what time is it in Australia? Or maybe it was someone else who was talking about the time. Not only is it a meme, it was such a meme that it became a cultural phenomenon. That explains it. Geek XYU. Kids do it and have some sort of a juggle with their hands, like one is 6 and the other is 7. Okay. All right, so I totally memed. You're welcome. Rockstar Miles, could you play the chair rock riff? Like, you mean just like the normal... Like, do you mean like the... Is that the part you mean? Like that's... I did that earlier, actually. But, yeah, we can do it. Feedback. So one guitar was doing that. The other one on my cover was doing... And then the other one was going... And blending them together just kind of makes it super thick. Now, I'm almost tempted... I mentioned redoing covers earlier. I'm kind of tempted to redo Cherub Rock again, just because now I have that chorus sound really figured out, right? Because it's the Jet 70 going into the microsynth, right? Like here, like that sound is huge. Like, that sound is massive, and I kind of want to capture that, because I didn't understand that sound yet when I recorded my Cherub Rock cover. Like, I got the solo sound figured out. I had the Jet 70 and the microsynth backwards, but I didn't understand... Well, I was using a Boss Tone back then. But, like, I didn't understand it as well yet, so I kind of want to redo that one as well, because, like, I've got the Cherub Rock solo sound 100% dialed. But, yeah. That part is, yeah... Where are we? Identification. I'm having the gold lace sensors with a hot bridge put into my Strat. Was originally going with red, silver, blue, but wanted to try something different for my first Strat. Yeah, it'll just sound more Strat-like, right? There's nothing wrong with gold lace sensors. Like, that's what's in the neck of this one. Right? And gold lace sensors sound good, right? They're not the Siamese Dream sound at all, right? Now, like, 100%, there's no gold lace sensors on Siamese Dream. Like, categorically. It's red, silver, blue, and then all the other sounds that are not these are a Jaguar or a Jazzmaster. I'm super sure of it now. But, like, they sound great. I like gold lace sensors. Right there. Well, here, you didn't hear that very well. Like, gold lace sensors sound great. They're good pickups. So putting them in your first Strat, yeah, do it. Right? I think everyone should have, like, a normal sounding Strat, right? And it's one thing I actually don't have right now, right? My red Strat was my normal Strat, but when I did the Jet 70, I thought I should really have lace sensors, and my green Strat and this Strat were still in Canada, right? Now I'm really attached to it with having lace sensors, and after I have a Jaguar, I'm going to get another Strat just to have normal Strat pickups in it. Probably another Eric Johnson, because they're my favorite Strats. Jockey Dre. I always wondered if you could use the TC Electronic Mimic Doubler for a stereo setup for a live Siamese Dream sound in terms of layering. You don't need to do that at all. You just have to have a G12M70. Like, G12M70, Big Muff, JCM800, you're done. The whole doubling thing was unnecessary. It's been a myth perpetuated online because none of us understood what the right speaker was. When you have the right speaker, you have Siamese Dream sound in the room. You don't need to double it. It's unnecessary. The thing to remember is when they were layering on Siamese Dream, it wasn't to create something new. It was to try and capture the sound of what they heard in the room on the album, right? So when you use a G12M70, a Big Muff, and a JCM800, and you just pan them stereo, one guitar each side, it sounds like 95% of Siamese Dream already, right? When you add more tracks, it just gets a little bit thicker, right? I almost released the Hello Kitty Cat video with only one guitar per side because it sounded great. I just decided to thicken it up a little bit and do one more track. That only has two per side. That's it. Right? So you don't need to double. You just need a G. You will have the sound. And it's a flatter speaker. It doesn't have the mid scoop of a G12T75. So technically, if you have your amp set up for Siamese Dream, which means mids are on 10, and you have a G12M70, which is a flatter speaker with a bigger mid peak, right? you'll have a bit easier time making fuzz work live, especially if it's just one guitar, right? So yeah, I wouldn't worry about doubling. Just get the right speaker. Like, the cost of the right speaker is going to be right around the same price as buying something to do a doubled signal. So just get the right speaker. You'll be much happier. It's the right sound, right? G12T75s, they don't exist on Siamese Dream. Neither the vintage 30s or greenbacks. It's just G12 M70s. Teddy Smith, I don't know of any free IRs for the G12 M70. There's one for $10. Like, the one I bought was all of $10, and it comes with a whole bunch of mics. I'm sure someone else here has bought it as well. Throw a link in here if you have it, please, because it's worth buying, right? I'm gonna do a 412 version of it when I have time myself, but like, for now, that one I think is great, and for $10, it's worth buying for sure. G12 M70 modern equivalent. Yes, there is a speaker called the, what was it called? Someone else pointed it out recently. It's like the G12 modern or something like that. It's basically another 70 watt G12 something, right? And it's from the same time period, and it was a Marshall branded speaker that was put in Marshalls and some other amps. It was like an OEM option, but it is a G12 M70, right? And I mentioned it before. All of the G12 M70s sound the same. 80s and 90s, they sound the same. There isn't a brand new equivalent, but like, you can find like these other ones that'll work. Like, they don't make a G12 M70 to my knowledge now, right? You can't get one currently. Like, the closest thing you're going to get is a greenback, but their wattage is too low. So maybe, I haven't tried a creamback yet, but I'd be curious to see what it sounds like in comparison. But yeah, there's no new one. But anyhow, yeah, G12 M70, any generation of it. Like, I have an 84 and I have a 93, I think is the other one. I got to check the date code again. They sound exactly the same, right? And one's a 4 ohm speaker and the other one's an 8 ohm, and they sound identical. Like, there is no difference at all, right? I think people get really caught up on generations of speakers, right? Like, especially when it comes to the G12 T75s, right? People say, oh, the V2 and the V3 sound different, V4. No, they don't. They sound the same. And the reason people think they sound different is because you can get a 412 with all the same speaker, right? Like, it's... And each speaker, even though they came out of the same factory on the same day, they can sound up getting like a V3 that sounds correct to them, and they'll think, oh, the V3 is the right speaker. And that's not the case. You just got a batch that is the right sound, right? The Chinese ones do sound different, right? The Chinese ones don't sound the same. But if you have any of the UK-made G12 T75s and you're going for the melancholy thing, you'll be fine. The V1 is different, though. The V1 is literally different. It's closer to a G12 65 instead, which is a great speaker, by the way. But yeah, don't worry too much about which version if you're going to go for the melancholy speaker. It doesn't matter too much. V2, V3, V4. Just don't get a Chinese-made one, and if you want the melancholy sound, don't get a V1, which is probably better because that's the most expensive one. Where are we? Yeah, Hajan, yes, you can upgrade the normal quad reverb to the plus. It's cheap. You just got to put the EEPROM in. It's not hard. Like, yeah. As someone who messes with electronics, it's something that's pretty easy. Now, I did buy one, but it was an eBay purchase, and it seems to not be showing up. So I think I'm going to have to do this again. But, yeah. No big deal. Chalky Dre, I'm going to try just by a Walking on the Moon. Some reason it's cheaper than the Mistress and looks nicer. The main thing to remember is the Electric Mistress version that was used on Siamese Dream was one of the older big box ones. Now, it's not the rocket sound, so if you're going for rocket sound, if that thing does it, if it has the filter mode, go for it, right? It's the filter mode that I'm using on the Electric Mistress, right? You stop it, and it stops the flange from moving. It just makes it stay in one spot, which is more important for that kind of sound, right? That's what makes the quad reverb work, is it has this slow resonance thing that moves incredibly slowly, so you don't notice it moving until the very end of the riff, right? So I think that's almost more important. Teddy Smith. Okay, so you're only like an hour ahead of me then. Yes, that's what I thought. That makes more sense. I was getting someone else mixed up then. I need to look into this pedal clearly. You guys are talking about it. I'll look into it. Can you play the intro to Hummer? Which intro part? You mean like the sitar part or the guitar part, right? So like most people, I simulate the sitar part by doing the... When I was younger, you know what, I can do it. I used to use a Maestro fuzz tone to do that sound when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. Because it just had a little bit of a broken kind of... And the cool thing is, it stacks really well with a Big Muff anyways. But, and then the... Now, this part is different on the album. A lot of you know this, but that part's different on the album versus how it is when it's recorded, right? So on the album, it's recorded one note at a time, right? So one guitar went... And the other guitar was going... That's what gives it that super creamy kind of sound. Like it's different than what you get when you play it the way they play it live. Because live, it's... But yeah, so it's different on the album versus live. And then that part I just played, the lead, isn't Big Muff, right? Album style, it would be Jet 70 and Microsynth. Right? So you know what I mean. Like, it's Microsynth. Microsynth, Jet 70. That's that sound. I had to do that correctly. I'm not a perfect guitarist by any stretch, my friends. Oh, that helps. Okay, I'm not even going to read the question. I'm just going to do it. I've already started recording a bit of it, but I haven't had time to finish it. I'm going to do it Siamese Dream style, but... That answer your question? It sounds so good, Siamese Dream style. Like, I have a recording of, like, the first bit of the song done with Big Muff. And... my opinion, it sounds so much better with a Big Muff. I'm not a big fan of the sound of a preamp being pushed into the front of an amp. Into the effects loop, yeah, super cool. But I actually don't like the sound of the MP1 plugged into the front of a JCM 800. Like, I don't like the sound of the JMP1 doing, or the, yeah, JMP1 or the MP1 doing it. Like, it's... But yeah, that'll be the first one. And it'll be done Siamese Dream style. I think you could probably hear that over the phone mic, so that'll do. Actually, you know what? Here, let's hear it accurate, because I think maybe you'd be interested in hearing that. 1 second. Let's do it one more time. It sounds good with a big muff. Like, I think it sounds great with a big muff. Like, so cool. Where are we? Have a good day, Teddy Smith. John, I just put a G12M modern lead 70 in a PV backstage 30, and with Tonex on JCM800, it's a sound. Yeah, that would do it. Absolutely. I've said it a couple times in videos. Like, the speaker is one of the most important parts of your guitar sound. Like, it's incredibly, incredibly important. Like, if you take an op amp big muff and I take a V3 big muff or a Green Russian big muff, and I use a JCM800 with the right speaker, and you use one with a G12 T75, I'm gonna get closer to the Siamese Dream sound. Just simply put, right? It's the right speaker is so important, especially if that Russian big muff happens to be like a tall font one, like the one I showed a few live streams back, where it sounds pretty much identical to an op amp. Unreal. Such a strange pedal. Lacks the filter matrix. See, the filter matrix part... Okay, so Chalky J says, yeah, the Walking the Moon is literally the Electric Mistress, but with the filter matrix. The newer Electric Mistresses aren't the same, like the Deluxe. Like, I'm not quite sure which one you're referring to, but, like... yeah, when it comes to Electric Mistresses, I just like the elastic mattress from Past Effects. Like, that is the most like the old ones. I like having ones that are like the old ones. Yeah, I view pedals like that as a way to have a reliable version of an old Electro Harmonics pedal, right? But yeah. And yeah, a couple more questions, and I need to get off to work. Thanks for all your hard work, Eddie. I really enjoyed the videos and look forward to the live streams each week. Me as well. Sorry I wasn't around last week. It made sense to not be doing it. I was on the road anyways, and Billy and the Pumpkins were doing the Zero thing, so it made sense that I wasn't live streaming last week anyways, so that worked out. I'm glad y'all are watching the videos. It makes me happy. Mansfication, last one. The Mistress always buzzes so loud when I use it, especially on the filter. Yeah, they can be noisy pedals, but I'll say that the noise, in some ways, I think kind of makes the sound in some ways. I'm a fan of it. I like the noise. Like, if you work with it, it can work, right? But anyhow, okay. Have a good evening. Have a good day wherever you are. And I will see you all in the next video and the next live stream. Hold on, let me double check something really quickly before I go. Let's see the next day for the next one. Okay, yeah. So the next live stream will be my last one in Japan. The live stream after that on the 7th on Sunday will be from Thailand. Yes. And y'all are going to make me get up real early, but I'm okay with that. After the first one in Thailand, we might look at redoing the time we do the live stream, or pick a different day or something, just because that will be a 6 a.m. start for me. But I'm okay with it. No worries. Okay. Take it easy, folks.